Hello there. What is going on, everyone? We are going to try out a Moff Gideon Dark Trooper list today, taking into account the new spoilers that we've had for both Dark Troopers and Moff Gideon. And I want to try and also run as many Dark Troopers as I can, even though that would be a kind of an expensive list, considering they're not cheap for a box of Dark Troopers. But I mean, they're a droid trooper that is armored, and they're also a heavy, and they get 2 activations per. I mean, it's just insane. They get to activate twice. It's actually really cool, but also a little bit insane. And I still like it. I think it's really cool. And so we're gonna have some fun with these guys today. We're gonna be also using Moff Gideon. So let's start off with Moff Gideon, who is a really interesting commander. He is he's got an observe token. He has entourage for the Imperial Dark Troopers. He's got ruthless. He can give people a free action for a wound, and he's got sharpshooter and sharpshooter 1 and tactical 1. And now the ruthless is only for core troopers, so he can't do a droid trooper, which is very interesting. And I have a feeling maybe we're going to see more stuff in the new rules that are coming out next week to reference core troopers. I think that's something that we're going to see more and more of, because some of the stuff we're going to put into this build is a little bit speculative in that I'm not sure if this will still be legal, after the new rules go into effect. Now, for Moff Gideon, I am going to give him the Dark Saber. I do want to have a little bit of lightsaber defense, and it gives you immune to pierce when you're being attacked melee. You have impact 1 and pierce 1 and demoralize 1, which is also potentially nice. And it's also a 5 die melee weapon. I kind of like it, but I like it for a number of different things. It kind of does protect against a really quick Darth Vader coming in trying to slice him down. He's got a red defense die and surge for defense, so he's pretty survivable, but he would otherwise be really vulnerable to quick Jedi or Sith kind of coming in. So that's going to help him stay alive. He's going to be my sole commander for this build, and I wanted to try and build out 3 units of Dark Troopers, and see if I can make even a slim list running maximum Dark Troopers work. And the reason I can do 3 units of Dark Troopers is because we have Entourage Imperial Dark Trooper, which allows us to ignore that restriction. So normally you'd only be able to do 2, but in this case we're going to be able to do 3. All right, so first things first, let's start off with that 1 unit. This I kind of want to do 1 bigger unit and then maybe 2 smaller units. And so there's also other options. There's other options that you could do, because one of the things I toyed around with was running double ATST and then also an Imperial Dark Trooper. I like that idea, but it's hard to fit my 3 core minimum in there if I'm also running Moff Gideon, and it becomes a list that I don't get excited about, and I don't think it synergizes enough with Moff Gideon's command cards. And so I want, and let's talk about Moff Gideon's command cards here before I build out all of these Dark Troopers, because I think that they're kind of relevant to some of the build choices we're going to make. First, I've got Die at my hand, Relentless 1, aim token, and a dodge token. It's pretty simple. It works for him. It's probably always going to work for him. It's also nicer if he has the Dark Saber, because this becomes a little bit better in that respect. Although he could still always shoot. He's got a decent little range 2 shot, but this gives him, a much better, melee attack, to be able to move twice and then melee. Now, I'm not always going to run this. I may not always run him with the Dark Saber. But if you do run the Dark Saber, I think this is a great card. If you're running multiple other commander or operative options, I think this is one that's kind of take it or leave it. You might be playing Moff Gideon a little more defensively. You may not need this card, but it's a cool option to have. You have something I want. Obviously, this one is going to let Dark Troopers teleport across the battlefield. This one is very interesting, and I want to point something out because I'm sure that some people will try to have maybe a Dark Trooper deploy somewhere, and move and grab an objective, and then use this one to kind of run their objective away. But I don't think people ought to do, or either ought to plan to do that, because you can't have an objective leave the battlefield, and so you're not in the same way that the rules talk about how you can't embark or disembark and things like that. There's also a rule that says an objective doesn't leave the battlefield if somebody else leaves the battlefield. I expect this to be probably clarified a little bit more, or FAQ'd a little bit more by the time you watch this, or by the time the new rules come out. But in this case, I don't believe there's going to be, unless of course a new rule changes, and if a rule does change to allow these guys to fly away with an objective, that would be kind of broken, and I kind of hope that doesn't happen. But I don't expect that will happen at all. The rules seem to indicate already that you can't do that. But you can use this to help get them into position, which is really cool, and that's going to influence some of the battle cards we run. Then we have Moment of Consideration. This one is one that I absolutely love. It's giving everybody fire support, and it's going to give you 3 core or heavy units, and we are gonna run 3 heavy units here, and giving we may give them fire support, we may not give all of them fire support. It's only orders issued by this card, so if we do Entourage to 1 Dark Trooper, that one will probably not have fire support, but maybe the other ones will, and that's a cool thing. I will add all of those in, but we'll come back and do some more of that. But I wanted to go over those real quick in case you hadn't seen the Moff Gideon preview, to kind of help influence that. Now, my more powerful unit here is probably going to be the one that I issue the that I issue the order with Entourage from. We've got Programmed Loyalty, which is a nice thing. It's going to say they can only be issued orders from Moff Gideon, but also gives them Retinue Commander. So if they can only get orders from a commander. But they're going to get a free aim token also, which I really like. So free aim each turn, and as long as they're range 1 to 2, I believe, from Gideon. So very cool. Oh, I forgot to put my Darksaber on Moff Gideon. There we go. All right. So with that, we've got 3 different heavies. We've got the assault cannon, we've got the frag launcher, and we've got the myrtleizer. So I'm going to use the assault cannon as our first one. I think that's by far the best weapon for these guys. It is expensive at 48 points, but it's going to give you 4 black and critical 1. We're then going to also add the SM9 frag grenade, which is also really cool and has blast, impact 2, and cycle, and 2 red and a black, but it's only range 1 to 2. Hopefully you'll be able to have that. As also was pointed out, you cycle at the end of your activation, so you can still fire it every turn because you're going to activate these guys twice. They are going to come with 2. They're going to have 2 heavy tokens. And so you're going to be able to, activate them once, and then as long as they have only 1 activated token, then you can activate them a second time. Speaking of tokens, I want to thank today's sponsor, Luxury Playstyle. Amazing full metal tokens available for Star Wars Legion. They are absolutely fantastic. There's some brand new tokens that just came out. Observe tokens, Ion tokens, Immobilize, Poison. We've also got aims and standbys and dodges and surges and damage and suppression and order tokens. They're in multiple finishes. You're just going to love them. They're double-sided. They're absolutely gorgeous. If you use code Crabbok VIP, you're going to save 15%. So be sure to check out luxuryplaystyle.com, and don't forget to use code Crabbok VIP. Amazing gifts and amazing prize support as well. All right, so for our personnel, this is where we get a little bit speculative, and because currently you can equip lots of really cheap, like the Viper Recon Droid, 6 points. All of these things can go in there. You can equip all of this stuff because of the way that it was written, like Droid Trooper only, or but you have the Imperial Dark Trooper. It's 32 points. That does nothing. It's just an extra body. So why not just run something else cheaper? So we're going to run the Imperial Comms Technician. Now, I expect this will change at some point, but just in case it doesn't, we're going to run the Imperial Comms Technician. And And if we, if we can do that, or maybe there's a cost increase to be able to do it or something like that at some point after the new rules change, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm going to go ahead and give this guy Comms Relay. And one of the cool things about this card is I can use his Comms Relay to issue an order to somebody else. And because I'm going to have other things, I'm going to have some core in my list. Well, like one of the things that I'd like to do, and I normally will do, I'll have shore troopers, and I'm going to put these guys in here. I'm going to have shore troopers in, and I like to do the T21 here. And a lot of times I'll put the comm relay Imperial comm technician on the shore troopers, but I'd much rather have it on the dark troopers since they have 2 health each. And at least according to the way this is worded right now, he doesn't have a 1 on his card. Of course, I do expect there to be some errata at some point, but part of the theory crafting before everything comes out, it seems much better to put that guy here instead. And so for these shore troopers, man, I really do like the shore troopers. That they're going to allow us to take the mortar. And the mortar has also got fire support. And now we have some really cool stuff because now I can have Gideon give the dark trooper an order. He can then relay it to the shore troopers, and then they get to also issue an order to the mortar trooper. That gives the shore troopers an aim, gives the mortar trooper the ability to activate, and it keeps my Imperial Dark Troopers with the ability of activating from the pile, and a very good likelihood of doing that. Primarily because of how many I'll have in the bag, which is a really cool thing. So that's part of the list. We're also going to, since I'm doing core, I'm going to add another core here, and I want to add snow troopers. This will give me my 3rd core option, and one of the reasons I want the snow troopers in here is for this awesome ruthlessness ability, actually, that Moff Gideon has. I mean, he's got Observe 1. He's putting out some free observation token every round. But ruthless, right? Perform an action to suffer a free wound. I mean, the other way around. Strike that, reverse it. Get an action or get a wound to suffer a free action. And so I think that's kind of cool. It's something I used to enjoy doing with Darth Vader, and I like having the flame trooper on my snow troopers. So I'm going to put a flame trooper in the snow troopers, and I'm also going to give them a fragmentation grenade in case they get close enough. And we're going to gain surge to crit in that pile, and then of course we have the flame trooper who just throws a ton of dice. So even losing a miniature, we're just going to keep gaining the ability to get closer. We've got steady, just for those times that you might need it. And let's give them one free move also by giving them recon intel. Sometimes I'll put an extra personnel in the snow troopers, but I'm trying to save points because I do want to run 2 more heavy units of Imperial Dark Troopers. And so as we wind this list down to its last bits, I'm going to add another Imperial Dark Trooper. We're going to go, where is it? All right, we have 2 more. There they go. We have 2 more Imperial Dark Troopers. We're going to give one an assault cannon, and actually, we're going to give the other one an assault cannon as well. So these are going to be lighter Dark Trooper units. They're still going to have the 3 miniatures and everything you see on the card. They're going to have a 4th miniature in the form of that excessive assault cannon. Somebody in Discord said the XSIV it might stand for excessive, and I think that's brilliant. But yeah, so 1 to 3, 4 black dice, critical 1, and that's going to turn this into a 7 black dice shooting unit. We'll have critical 1 in there, but they can be throwing these into a fire support as well. And since the weapon itself has critical 1, we'll be able to add that critical 1 to any existing other attack pools, and that can be a really fun way to run these guys. So yeah, well, we're going to try that out. That brings us to 799 points. It doesn't feel perfect for me, but at least I have some synergies. I've got some things to make the shore troopers work. I've got a lot of fire support. I've got some things to make the snow troopers work. I've got some things to make Moff Gideon work, and I've definitely got some things to make the dark troopers work with these command cards. But we have to have some more command cards. In this case, I definitely want coordinated fire. This one, of course, can just give those 3 core units their orders, and then I can put extra aims out for the dark troopers after the core units fire, which I think is really fun. And of course, you could easily swap this out for Assault, because Assault gives you a little bit more flexibility, and that is totally cool. You can absolutely do that as well. But I definitely want Pinned Down. This one's going to be great. This one is going to let me, have 3 heavies with face-up orders doing these attacks and, shuffling tokens back into the pool. I love it. Plus, because I'm going to have Entourage plus the 2 heavies from Pinned Down, which is a really cool thing. Lastly, I'm not going to run Covert Observation. I don't have any Special Forces or Operative units, so we're just going to go with Ambush, which is, just an all-around self-explanatory but decently good 1 pip. Okay. Because it's flexible. Like, if Moff Gideon dies and I have to make somebody else a commander, they can always at least play Ambush. And that would be really cool to make a Dark Trooper, rather, your... have I been saying Death Trooper all night? I hope not. I've been saying Dark Trooper. Death Troopers and Dark Troopers would be pretty interesting, too. You have all these Imperials that are now all in black armor instead of white armor. We also have some battle cards. I want to talk about these a little bit. I'll run through them pretty quick. I think Recover the Supplies is a pretty good one. Again, you won't be able to claim stuff and then fly away, but you can fly into position to claim these a little bit easier. So I think that one is good. I think Breakthrough is going to work really well because you'll be able to potentially just fly 1 extra unit right into the middle of their deployment zone, which can be quite fun. I want to do Sabotage the Moisture Evaporators. I think this is a really great one because of the fact that I get to activate twice. I could actually have a single Dark Trooper fully raise a Moisture Evaporator or lower a Moisture Evaporator in just 1 turn, which I think is a little wild. And I love being able to do that. That seems almost broken, but apparently we can do it. And they'll go with key positions. A lot of times in key positions, it's a big fight for the middle, and like a side, like a rear, the really far position from you ends up being, like they just have like 1 little sniper or 1 little unit on it. And I think being able to have a Dark Trooper teleport over somewhere by that point is going to be pretty cool. So that's what we're going with for that. For our deployments, we'll go with advanced positions. I'd love to be able to give the Dark Troopers some movement since they are trooper units. Extra movement for them is a big deal. So I like that. I'm going to go with Hemmed In. Hemmed In is an interesting one in case we end up getting something like Breakthrough. I have a much smaller deployment zone, so my opponent's going to have a harder time trying to muscle people into it. It also gives me some extra room on these far corners if I want to put objective tokens all the way in a corner and give my Dark Troopers maybe some places to jump into and make it much more difficult for my opponent. I think that's a possible good use of Hemmed In, something a deployment I usually don't use. Battle Lines because it's easy and fun, and the Long March because I think that's actually I think that one will work pretty well with your ability to jump. Again, I'm basing a lot of these off of the ability to jump the Dark Trooper. I can only do that for 1 unit, but I think it'd be a fun way to do things. And if you're going to do that too, I want to suggest one other option. You could potentially drop Comms Relay for something like for like long range comm link. I think that one is definitely an option in that case. So that's something worth thinking about. Also, for our conditions, we're going to go with hostile environment. My Dark Troopers have no fear value, right? They have no fear, so they don't care about the hostile environment. That one works perfectly. Alternatively, so does War Weary. Those guys can't panic. They don't care. I'm definitely going with War Weary in this one. I want to do limited visibility. I don't have any snipers in this list, so I want to protect myself from other snipers if I can. And I'm going to do rapid reinforcements. This one is going to be a really interesting one for this one because what it lets me do is it lets me warp all of the Dark Troopers. All right, I can still use the 3-pip for 1, but then I can take 2 of them. I mean, they just have to be non-commander, non-operative trooper units. They're definitely trooper units, but they're more expensive than most commanders and operatives, right? And so I can take these slow, and I'm going to get them right away because you have so many of those tokens in the pool, right? So, yeah, I think that's just rapid reinforcements is going to be insane with Dark Troopers. And I think that's kind of a cool thing for rapid reinforcements because it's one that just doesn't get taken all that often, but I think that that's really groovy. And I think that's the list, guys. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. I'll put a link to Tabletop Admiral and to this list in the video description. So go over and give Tabletop Admiral some love, and let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to jump in our Discord. And of course, we are still running that giveaway for the $25 Amazon gift card. All you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. I will talk to you guys later. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are absolutely out of this world. You help make this channel possible, and I can't thank you enough. So may the force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes, and always wash your socks. I'll talk to you later.